right, ladies and gentlemen, it is January 4th, 2023, and we are going to talk about some goals because that's what we do. It's our job. We're in sales, we're in independent sales, we're all 1099, and we got to eat what we kill. That's the entire purpose of what we do, and it's a lifestyle, unfortunately, that we have chosen willingly, and I love it. It makes things hard. There's no days off. You can't sleep and just go talk at the water cooler and still get a paycheck. And I like that because I really like personally getting paid on what it is that I do, because I know I'm a high contributor. I know I get a lot done. And the people that are here, I know that's because it's the exact same thing. They are high contributors, they get a lot done, and they have big goals and aspirations. And I know everybody knows this, and I know you've heard it 1,000 times, but I'm going to say it again. And personally, now, granted, I'm not Grant Cardone. I am not, some bajillionaire investor, agent, anything like that. But I do pretty dang well, and I do better than I probably should. And I honestly attribute a lot of it to the fact that I write things down. I set big goals, I follow through on big goals, and I do what I need to do to get these goals done. And I know where I'm going. So unfortunately, a lot of people, when they start real estate, they're like, oh man, I see a lot of real estate people that make a lot of money, and they go and they get their license, and then they do absolutely nothing. They expect the world to drop things at them. They expect this whole thing to just be the easiest possible business in the world, and it's not. And to me, the whole thing starts with getting started with goals. So I wanted to talk about goal setting in 2023 and how I do it and how you do it and what y'all are trying to accomplish, because I want to be able to hold everybody responsible. We've got Hillary here, one of my favorite people on the planet, because her and I talk about these kind of things. And if one of us doesn't do what we're supposed to do, we will talk trash to the other one, and we'll make sure that it gets done. And I know Hillary, I've followed her closely for years. It's always very impressive what she's able to pull off with her and her husband and their team. But I know it's because they are very focused and they know where they're going. If you don't know where you're going, what is that Yogi Berra quote? You don't know where you're going, you'll get lost, or I don't know. There's some great quote about that. I probably should have thought that through. But I wanted to talk about what I do personally, and then I want you to share with me how you do it. Now, in the email you got today from me, you saw something about SMART goals. How many of y'all saw that little bitty graphic in that email? Does anybody know what a SMART goal is? Let's start there.
No.
Nobody? Fantastic. So if you got a pencil, write this down for me. Write the word SMART and write it vertically, not horizontally like you normally would. Write it vertically because it is an acronym and it makes it easier. SMART goals is whenever you write something down or a goal or anything like this. First and foremost, I want to touch base on the first thing I said. When you write a goal down, if you're just thinking about a goal, guys, that's just a dream. You have dreams all the time, scary ones, good ones, whatever it is. When you write something down, that becomes a goal, and you have to make a plan for it. So the first thing is to figure out very clearly what it is you want. And there's this old technique called SMART goals, and the S stands for specific. It needs to be very clearly written out. Specific. I want to make more money than last year. That's not specific. I want to make $150,000 this year. Very specific. Does that make sense? So it's got to be very specific. You can't have, I want to lose weight. How much weight do you want to lose? You know what I mean? What will make you happy? How do you know when you've got there? That's the next part. So it does have to be specific. Second thing is it does have to be measurable. You can be very specific on certain things, but if you can't measure it, you can't track it. So the second part of a goal is it needs to be measurable. Usually when I'm talking to people, especially in the real estate world, we're talking about very specific financial goals, or like the number of doors that we have or something like that. But either way, those are all very measurable. Like, I want to get 10 new doors this year, or I want to sell 50 houses, or whatever it might be. It does have to be something that you can measure. It has to be realistic and achievable. Now, that's the A. The A is achievable. It has to be something that you can achieve, that is within your wheelhouse. Now, when I usually say this to people, they bring up, like, what about BHAGs? What about the big, hairy, audacious goals? What about Grant Cardone and 10X? Like, what if we just go crazy? That's fine and dandy. On this particular one, I want to know exactly where we are trying to get to, and is it something in your head that is realistic? Now, you should definitely push yourself. If you go, last year I sold 20 houses, and this year I want to sell 21. That's I mean, yes, that is specific and measurable, but it's not like we're not pushing ourselves. So find something that you think's achievable. The R, it kind of changes a little bit depending on who you listen to. It either means relevant or realistic. Is it relevant to what your goals are? Like, is this something that is really where you want to be? You need to make sure that's correct. Realistic, we just talked about. And the last one is is it timely? The T stands for timely. You have to have a deadline on your goals. Like, I will achieve X by Y. Now, for this purpose of this one, we're talking about the new year. So that's what SMART goals are. Like, in this year, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show you what I do to kind of break things down into this. But you do have to have a timeline. You have to have a point at which you're trying to achieve this. If you say, hey, I'm going to sell 50 houses, when? First quarter, by the end of the year, eventually, those are very important things. So whenever you write down a goal, you want to write down SMART goals and make sure that you have all those things in there. Sorry, I had to pull my next note out here. So with that being said, I make sure that all my goals are written in that kind of format. The next thing is I personally have 7 areas, and I wrote them all down in case anybody's questioning me on this, that I like to make goals in. A lot of people think that a goal is only designed for financial or business advantages or something along those lines. I disagree entirely. You can have goals in all kinds of things. So one of the categories that I have a goal in is a spiritual category. That's my first one. That has to do with anything with church, giving, meditation, things of that nature. Whatever you're into, we are spiritual beings, no matter what anybody says. I don't care if you're agnostic or hardcore Catholic. There's something in here that ties us all together. And so it's definitely something you need to consider when making your goals. So spiritual is my first category. My second one is financial. And when I say financial, that one usually comes down to dollars and cents. How much money do I want to make by the end of the year? How much debt do I want to have at the end of the year? How much am I going to be giving away this year? That falls into financial. Anything that comes along with those kind of lines. Then the next one I do is career. And career is what we're doing here today. What do I want to accomplish in my career? What do I want my career to look like at the end of this year? What do I want White Line to look like? What do I want my Wandering Texans as my LLC? What do I want that to look like by the end of the year? And so those are my career ones. The next one is intellectual. What do I do for myself? How am I going to make myself smarter? A lot of people leave this one out, and to me, it's so dangerous. It is so dangerous to think you're as smart as you should be. If you're the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong damn room. And if you think you're smart enough, then do not talk to me, because I hate those people. You need to find some way to better yourself intellectually, whatever it might be. It's a lot of people. My wife's real big on books. Like, she wants to read X amount of books every year. Her and I kind of argue about that some, because I feel like she reads too much fiction and she's not really improving herself. But I do like the fact that she's reading. And so we kind of go back and forth on that one personally. Hillary and I have been talking this year about CCIM, which is essentially a master's degree in commercial real estate. And it's daunting. It is a big thing to ask, but it is something that is going to make me smarter. It kind of falls into career, but to me, that one falls in intellectual, because we are going to be going to classes. We will be learning stuff. We will be doing all that. The next one is what everybody starts with, and I feel like it should be a little bit lower on the list, but it is important, which is fitness. What do you physically want to look like at the end of this year? Everybody starts this one out. We all know the joke: don't get a gym membership in January, right? It's hard to even get to a machine. Everybody thinks this is the year that I'm going to get skinny, but they don't do anything other than just say, this is the year I'm going to work out. It's not specific. It's not measurable. It's not anything like that. So figure out your fitness goals. Like, what do you weigh? What do you want to weigh? What do you want to look like? Guys, for us, it's always, to me, I don't give a shit what I weigh. I want my body fat percentage at a certain percentage, right? If I got too much muffin top, I know it. And I need that to go away. So figure out your fitness goals and how you're going to measure it, not just I'm going to get happy. The next one is family. What do you want your family to look like at the end of the year? And this one varies drastically from person to person. Um, but do you want to be married at the end of the year? Do you want to find a partner? Do you want to have kids? Do you want, like me personally, mine, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. It's like, I want to spend more time with my kids. I'm very bad about that. And I need to make some specific and measurable things to do. And the last one that I do is social. I do have social goals. Um, I don't know about everybody else, but the older I get, the harder it is for me to make new friends. Not because I'm not good at it, because I just basically don't want to. And to me, that's very dangerous. You get into this grumpy old man, like, you know, and I think it's funny. I think I can say this to Hillary. Like, I've always liked Marco and Hillary. Like, I've loved hanging out with them. But I guarantee you, I would not have spent as much time with Marco and Hillary this past year as I did if it wasn't for Marco and Hillary.
It was
They made
we invite them to everything.
exactly, and that's my entire point. And I don't know if it was intentional, like if y'all had a written down goal, but it was like,
No.
and I'm glad she did. Like, and you find these people, like, but you need to do that. You, like, whoever it is needs to be the person that goes out and initiates some more things. So those are the 7 categories that I like to do those in. And then I'm going to share with you right now just kind of some hip shot notes that I shared with those. And then we're going to talk about, I'm going to share with you some hip shot notes. So, like, spiritual, I'm Catholic. My daughter's ready for First Communion, right? So my spiritual goal is to get Charlotte through First Communion. And I understand that with that, all the measurable stuff that's going to come with it, I've got to go to church, right? If you're Catholic, you'll understand this. There's reconciliation that comes along with this. I got to teach my daughter about that, and I've got to go take her to do reconciliation. Then we got to go through the classes. So it's going to tie in a lot of stuff just to get that one goal accomplished. And so it's a very easy goal for me with all the things that come along with it. Financially, guys, my number for financials this year is $350,000. That's where I want to be at. It's $12 million in real estate. I think comes out to 360. And by the way, for those of y'all that I've probably talked to before, I try to live exclusively off my realtor income, and that's what I'm talking about. All my investment stuff, I just keep rolling in that one. So I'm going to try and do $12 million in sales. That's a stupid number for me, but I think it's doable. In case anybody's wondering, I probably did $5-6 million this year. But to be honest with you, I wasn't trying very hard. I wasn't tracking things. I was just kind of going, and I need to step that up. Career-wise, I won 100 agents at Whiteline. We've got just short of 50. So we need to get 50 more agents this year. That's very defined, very clear. And I want to hire 2 full-time employees by the end of the year. So those are my career things. Intellectual, the CCIM, I've already talked about that, guys. So that's an example of that one. It's very specific. I'm not going to be able to probably finish it this year, and that's just a realistic option. So one of the things I've got to sit down with Hillary as I drag her kicking and screaming through this is, how many of these classes are we going to get done this year? Are we going to do 2 of them, 3 of them? I think there's 5 or 6 classes. The test moves around the world. You got to do all this stuff. It's a little tricky, but we got to figure out what that is. And I need to spend some time figuring that out. My fitness goals, guys, I'm going to hike the Grand Canyon, rim to rim, 25 miles. I hear it's harder than doing a marathon, and I am clearly have the body of a runner. So it should be easy.
I would love to do that.
Right. And it's terrifying me. I got to be honest with you. And as of this morning, I weigh 235 pounds. I know that ain't going to cut it. You can't drag 235 pounds through 25 miles of desert. I will die. So my goal, my fighting weight, when I played football and all that stuff was 215. I want to get down to 215, and I need to be able to be walking probably 2 miles a day. And then I'm going to be setting up goals about doing like weekend hikes. Like I need to do a 10-mile hike, 20-mile hike, whatever it might be to get along those things. I haven't quite ironed all that out yet.
Hey, Colin, on the hiking and stuff, let me know, because I would love to do 1 or 2 of those with you. Marco never wants to do that shit with me, so I need somebody to do it with.
I'm taking my buddy Phil. Have you met Phil yet?
I don't think so.
He said he would go in with me, so heads up, it'll be you, me, and Phil.
That's fine.
I'm in for a hike too.
You're in? Yeah.
Yes.
And what I like about this is that and guys, by the way, this is I'm very strategic. Phil's a very good friend of mine. Don't get me wrong. I love Phil. He's a great person. But Phil's also a CrossFit coach. So I very specifically got that because I know that man right there will hold me accountable as shit. And that's important to me on this kind of thing, because how easy is it not to go do your hike? How easy is it to just I'll do it later? and then I'm going to show up at the Grand Canyon in July and be a big old tub of lard and die somewhere halfway through it. For family, my family one's very simple this year, and I've talked about it for years, and I haven't done it. I've got 2 girls and a wife. Okay, it's weekly dates. I've got to take these kids out. I've got to spend individual time with them. I run a lot of companies. I do a lot of business, and they do get the short end of the stick, and that's my fault 110%. So what I'm going to be doing, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it in just a minute, is my wife's going to get 2 dates a week. Everybody goes, "Oh, you should take your wife out every week." I'm being realistic, right? That's part of the SMART goals. I got to be realistic. So I'm going to take her out twice a week, and then I'm going to take both my daughters out once a week. And by the way, guys, I'm not saying I'm taking them out to dinner and doing all this kind of stuff. I'm going to take one child somewhere and do something with them, one-on-one time. You know, they're getting a little bit older, and they just need the time. So that one's going on my list. And then for social, and we talked about this yesterday, socially, I got to get to more networking events. When I look back and I review last year, I realized probably about 60% of my deals have come from people that I know. And like, they call me, "Hey, Colin, I've got this deal. Hey, Colin, can you help my brother buy a house? Hey, Colin, can you," whatever it might be. About 60 to 70% of my business has been referral based in some form or fashion. And I realized that I don't do enough to foster new relationships in my business. It's so easy to do too, by the way, guys. If you want to get into more social stuff, just go to Facebook and go to events and type in real estate. There's 78 events a day that you can go to.
Or don't do real estate events. I stepped away from all real estate events, and I do other events now.
Yeah.
But I like it though, because in the community where we're at, we're like the only real estate people. So we're like seen as the expert because we're not in a real estate community.
Freaking genius. I love it. Right. What are another social thing I've been looking at doing? Oh, I can't think of the name of it. There's like something international where they bring in all these experts from different fields, but there can only be one. So there's like one accountant, one real estate guy, one lawyer, one whatever. And then we basically just turn all that into referrals, but it becomes kind of like a meetup kind of thing, like a mastermind group kind of deal. I can't think of the name of it, something international. But so there's kind of a rough idea over those 7 categories. And before I go any further and keep talking, does anybody want to share any of those 7 categories that you've thought about so far this year? It may not be perfect just yet. I mean, none of mine are perfect just yet. But has anybody got anything they want to share, that just so we know, and that way I can call you on your BS later this year?
I don't mind sharing. If y'all want to hear it.
Come on.
I haven't thought it fully through, so this was like unexpected. And I'm not really good at goal setting. So for spirituality, like I have been thinking about that a lot. I think for me, I'm taking a major pause on alcohol. Again, I did it all through 2020. I went 400 days with no alcohol, but like, I feel like when I drink, it just drags me down, like physically and emotionally. I don't make the best choices. I get off my fitness game. I just need a break again. So I think I'm going to try and go the whole 2023. And that allows me to like just focus. So that's part of spirituality. Also just like read a lot. I want to do more yoga, just kind of, I've been doing a lot of like introspection on just a lot of different things. And so I feel like that kind of fits in with spirituality, like what is forgiveness and how to first self-forgive, but also forgive others. And that kind of just falls into that. I have some books I'm going to be reading and whatnot. What was the other category?
I want to interrupt you real quick because I really love the fact that you're able to identify your shortcomings, right? So many people will take something like, let's say, drinking, and it's like, and they justify so much about what they do, right? Well, I only do it and this and that. And it's like, if it's a problem or not. And if you don't think it's a problem, but somebody said something to you, then you need to look at it. Or if you're just like, hey, I just kind of want a clean head for a little while, because it does get harder as you get older. So my point is I think that the self-introspection is huge. And that's one of the reasons why I have so much respect for you, because it's hard to look in the mirror and make those kind of decisions.
I just think that like, I've been thinking about alcohol a lot, obviously, because in 2020, I didn't drink at all.
I think about it a lot.
everybody, I think everybody has a problem with it to an extent, because in our society and our culture, it's so heavily like pushed. And so it's kind of like, oh, well, that's what we do is we drink. But it's like, if you were to tell people I don't do heroin and I don't do other drugs, no one ever, never, nobody bats an eye. But when you tell
Yeah.
somebody I don't drink, they're like, why? Did you kill somebody? Did you get pulled over? Like they always assume there's an issue with it. But like the reality is like, I just know when I drink, there's nothing positive about it. I might have fun in the moment. There might be a feeling of like, oh, I'm fluffy. I'm feeling it's a good day. But the long term is way more damaging than the short term gratification, because I don't want to work out. I eat like shit. You know,
And what's
it's
really
kind
funny
of
is
just like the cycle that I don't like.
it's also your social circle, right? Like I have a very close friend of mine that lives here in my neighborhood, and I love this man. He's one of my old fraternity brothers and all this kind of stuff. He never left college. And it's I love the guy. I love hanging out with him, but it's hard to hang out with him because his entire world is circled around drinking. Like if you go over to his house, doesn't matter what time, he wants to pour you a cocktail. 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, doesn't matter. And I'm
Yeah.
like, easy, Bubba. And some people use it as a crutch.
Yeah.
I know I do in social situations because, like I said, I'm turning into a grumpy old man. And so it's like it kind of eases you up a little bit so you're not such a grumpy old man. But it's the introspection is important. What else you got, Hillary? Sorry.
Yeah. I think what was the next category?
Financial.
I think for me too, financial, that's something I need to discuss with Marco. We haven't really had our like what we want the end of 2023 to look like, but obviously I think financially we're kind of hovering right now around like $9,000 cash flow a month, which is really good, but like it's not enough. So really it's just to like make sure all of our rentals are up and running, that cash flow is coming in. And we would like to obviously, I guess the next goal would be to hit 15,000 cash flow a month. But I mean, really, it comes down to really cash flow and like our wholesale. We're going to start ramping up wholesaling a lot again, or a lot more this year, just because we're at like almost 50 units. And I told him we need to take a step back because it's a lot. Like we just purchased 15 like right before Thanksgiving. And I said, we need to take a step back. Like we need to start working on wholesale. So that's financial. And then what was the other one? I've also decided
Career.
to, I don't know if y'all saw my post on Facebook, but like I've been also in the introspection. It's a lot of like, I feel like something is missing. And I actually talked to Marco about it on his birthday, which was on the 30th. And I was like kind of tearing up during my conversation with him because I was like, babe, I feel like I'm not passionate about anything. And I started like feeling sad about it in a way. And I feel like part of it is like, I feel like I'm in a midlife crisis, being like almost 40 and feeling like I'm not chasing a passion. And yeah, real estate's great. It's fun. I'm good at it. But like, it wasn't my dream. It was Marco's. And I joined his dream when I met him. And I jumped on board because I was in love with him. But like, this wasn't my calling. So I'm starting to really get back into my art. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. And after I graduated, it was like, oh, I have to make money now. So I never did anything with that. And I know that that's like a huge part of why I'm unhappy, is because I'm not being creative like I should be. So I signed up for 12 weeks of pottery throwing, and I'm really excited about it. I've already been looking into purchasing my own pottery wheel and like just making sure it's like at least once a week, maybe like Mondays are my days where all I do is just fulfill that creative need. So I'm doing that. For fitness, I've been committed to running at least 1 mile a day, preferably 1 to 2. So I've been like kind of averaging around 1.5. I've been going to the gym Tuesdays and Thursdays, and also doing rowing again. So I'm kind of incorporating a bunch of different stuff, but right now it's like a mile or more, and then a 30-minute row. And then when I'm at the gym, it's kind of different stuff. It just depends.
Right.
My goal for like also fitness is to get down to 115. At my lowest, I was 112 in 2020. And now that I've like come up again, I'm like, damn it, I don't like it. So my goal is 115, which is only like, I don't know, 8 pounds away. It's not that bad. I can do it. It's just, again, the alcohol, not drinking will
not
help.
many women would air that out, so I appreciate it. I
Yeah,
remember
no,
the sound that
I'm
115 meant whizzing by me in middle school, but yeah.
actually, I guess it's more than that because I'm at like 126 right now, but I'd like to be 115 ideally. 120 would be happy, but 115 would be like the best, I think. And then what else? I feel like also these, did you say the learning?
Yeah,
Learning.
intellectual. Yeah, you're
I
real
do it.
good about that. I know you got book clubs and
Yeah, I do a ton of reading. My goal this year is 20 books. I actually am about to finish one that I just started on the first, and it's only the fourth. But I would like it's a kind of a mix of fiction because I feel like you kind of need that break. I know like you get on Amelia about fiction, but you can learn a lot from fiction, especially if she's reading like old
right.
Western fiction. Like she can
She
learn a
does it.
lot
She does
from
do historical fiction and things like that. But
like I learned a ton of like lessons from reading Greek literature, like the Iliad and the Odyssey. And so anyway, whatever. I have like a mix of that, but also philosophically, we're very big on our objectivism philosophical group. And so just networking more, being part of that. We're going to the week-long conference where it's just lectures every day on objectivism. I'm going to start reading a ton of, basically I'm at the point where I'm just going to be reading all of Ayn Rand's nonfiction. So that's going to be kind of my, whatever that category that was. I don't know why I can't
intellectual,
remember.
yeah.
Intellectual. It's really just like continuously reading. I really don't ever, I have 3 books in my bag right now. And I never leave the house without a book. So that's kind of my
I
thing.
love it. What a good little nerd.
I am a nerd, but I don't mind. I like it.
I love it. No, I love it.
It's really just like putting the two.
I'm bad about physically reading. I do a lot of books on tape just because I'm in the car so
See,
much.
I can't do that because I have to underline like all the things that I want to remember. So I need like physical copies. Plus, when I look around my room and I
y'all
just see
see my
stacks.
books. I do read
Yeah.
a lot of books, and then if I listen to a book on tape, I always feel obligated to buy the book. It just seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But if I get back through it, all right. Anything else?
Social, just continue to do what we do. Like we always try and just like get together with people, double dates, play dates, just try to make who we feel we're like, we don't have a whole lot of time. So it's like, who do we really connect with that? Like, it's really not about it. I don't want to waste time, I guess. So it's like really being careful on who we choose to spend our time with and then just like making it happen. But we're pretty good about that.
Yeah, I will say that. I do have a lot of pulls on my time and a lot of people that want to hang out with me. And there is something to be said about making sure you pick the right people, right? Find the 5 people you spend the most time with and you're the average. Like I said, it's like, I love my buddy that lives down the street, but he does nothing for me other than if I really, just want to drink on a Friday night, he's great. But other than that, he doesn't really help me or serve me in any real way, which I know sounds really selfish and mean, but the truth is I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm trying to get somewhere. And if you're holding me down, it's the same thing. If I'm trying to drive my car to Austin and you're taking the tires off, you're not helping. So I gotta break up with you. So
what about somebody else? Who else has goals they want to share?
Yeah. Who else has got anything they want to share? Come on, air out your dirty laundry or something you're just thinking about. I want to just hear. It doesn't have to be perfect. Mine aren't perfect. Hillary's aren't perfect yet. We're working on it.
Right now, my goal is to actually get the vote set up on this, written down, like you were saying. Getting all those written down. That's going to be my main goal right now.
That is a very funny thing that you say that, because I've got all of them written down just kind of in note form and all this kind of stuff. But my goal right now, it's funny you say that, Israel, it's by Sunday. We got to go to church on Sunday. All this shit's going to be in here. I need it done by Sunday. And I'm going to show you what else I need to do. And I'll explain why. But yeah, set a freaking timeline for that. And then start your year off with a goal, like a win. I mean, boom.
Yeah, my main goal, starting since I joined White Line, was that learning more of the investment side. I did start with the short-term rentals that I was talking about, and I'm having second thoughts about it because I did get one, and I haven't worked in during Christmas time in a while, and I ended up having to work because of that short-term rental. During that time frame, I'm like, well, I don't know if I really want to do that. But I tried it, so now my goals are gonna change a little bit here coming 2023. So
yeah, what else you got, Israel?
Let's see. Spiritually, I mean, I'm also Catholic, and I would definitely one of those things that I need to go back into. Where going to church on Sundays, definitely have to do that. Financially
I'll
itself,
meet you at St. Francis, 8:30, buddy. Come on. 12 days of Allah.
financially, I think my goal it's gonna be at least trying to get as much, not just on the realtor side, but on the investment side. I think I want to get that going, whether it be more rentals or get more of a uh, money coming in one way or another, but not just as a realtor, but more into the investment side. I think that's going to be my main goal. Actually having that money coming in financially. Career or
Well,
wise,
with financially, I will invite you, make a number,
yeah,
be specific. How much a month are you trying to make?
right.
What does that equate? If I'm making 10,000 a month, that's 120 a year. You got to make sure very specifically. I know it's like I don't make as much money, and I really wanted it. It's like, but you got to be
Get more
specific, right?
specific, right? Career wise, I mean, I'm gonna go back into getting more. I would like to get my broker's license. So I need to get into adding more of those classes in to be able to get that broker's license. And it's just a goal that not that I necessarily want to have a group, but a goal that I've always had in mind that but I haven't gone around to it. So
It'll scare the hell out of you. Heads up. I feel like the entire broker's thing was like, here's all the ways you're going to jail. It's like,
Oh.
calm down.
Fitness wise, I think based on what my doctor's saying, I need to be 20 pounds less. So that's gonna be definitely my goal for this coming year. As far as
Sounds like you're hiking with
I
the rest
already,
of
I
us.
already started doing the whole walking thing early in the morning, which I haven't done in a while. And it
You know,
was not the best. I mean, I did it,
side
but I
side
didn't
note on that.
so I didn't
Side
feel it.
note on that. Have you seen how skinny Eric is? I hope he watches this video. Have you seen how skinny he is?
How did he
I
get
had a
so
whole-
skinny?
It's funny you say that because like Eric and I went to high school together, right? 99. We didn't talk for like 20 or 15 years or something after that. And then since I've known him, he's dropped probably 30 pounds. And you ask him, and he's like, I just walk 2 miles every morning. He gets up, just walks 2 miles, and that's all he does. And
Really?
granted, he's weird about his food, but it's not like he is this dainty little bird. I mean, he still eats, but I will say there's something about just getting your ass out and moving because
No.
intentionally moving for the purpose of moving.
So like I'll say in 2020 when I dropped to 112, I walked like 4 miles a day. So
That's
and
all he
it's
does.
easy. Put music on, put a podcast on, put a book on. I
Yep.
actually find it super therapeutic. Like
Yeah, that's
super
what I did.
like
Yeah.
I love it.
That's what I started doing, listening. Actually, I was listening to you guys on the other videos that you guys
Yeah.
recorded too. So, but yeah, so I started. Obviously, wanted to get to the point of at least 20 pounds based on my doctor. That I have to be 20 pounds less fat. So, but it's one of those things. So that's definitely on that for this coming year. Relationship wise, I think I have a pretty good relationship with my wife. We have those two kids, which I love the most. And I do spend a lot more time with my kids than I feel sometimes that I should. But it's one of those things that I'm like, well, whatever comes my way, I'll definitely enjoy them anyway. So, social goals, I think networking is going to be the same thing for me. Going out more. I think this whole COVID past 2 years, I kind of went under a rock for a while. So it's going to be one of those that I'm going to be going out, and not so much of the drinking, which is very tempting, but more of the networking clubs, things, groups that I want to get involved with. One of them is actually more kind of ties in with the spiritual side, where I'll be trying to join more of those groups where spiritually Catholic groups, things like that. It's kind of what I want to do. So I think that's pretty
Do
much
they
it.
the Axe retreat, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some of those get involved with those groups with
It's-
Knights of
I've been-
Columbus kind of thing.
Yeah.
involved in that, that kind of puts me on that path where I should be. I'm the black sheep of the family, so it's one of those things that I'm like, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
definitely try to do.
I've been
So,
approached about the axe retreat so many times, and I'm like, guys, I cannot commit a weekend ever. It sounds bad, but maybe
yeah,
it's something I need to look at too, because it's all about getting your goals, right?
right.
So
So
let me share with y'all the next part of this. Hold on a second. I'm gonna get out my teaching aids here. So every year for the past couple of years, I've done a few things, and I'm modifying it a bit this year. One of the first things I do, guys, is I get an annual calendar. Okay. And I purposely get the vertical one because it naturally breaks everything out into quarters. And it just kind of helps me keep on track. The other one, it's thirds. So you got 4 months across. And then all this is just one of those science boards, you know, that you fold up and do a science fair project on. Cost $8 at HEB. And I just literally glue sticked it because we have lots of glue sticks because I have little kids. And I glue sticked it to this thing. Now, what's interesting about this, right, is it's got to be something that's specific and measurable. And I haven't done it yet. Like I said, I'm still working on all this. But one of the things I'm going to do to this, and I don't know if you can, I got the idea. Do you see that little speckled thing next to my bookshelf?
No, it doesn't
It's
matter.
it's in a black frame.
Are they
it's
like the
about
little
half-
dots? Is that
Uh-huh.
memento mori?
It's my life in weeks. And
Yeah.
every week you fill in a little block as it figures out that you live for 88 years, and it breaks it out into 88 years worth of weeks. And every week you fill in a little dot, and it kind of screws with your mortality and makes you realize you don't have as much time as you think on this planet. And but I got that idea, and I decided, I was like, I'm going to transfer it to this, because I look at this every year, and what I normally put on here is like, if I'm doing like one of my goals is $12 million in real estate, right? So it's $1 million a month. Every month in here, I need to have $1 million, right, worth of sales. So one of the things, I've got a closing the 26th or 27th, but that's the only closing I have this month. And I'm going to write down the address and how much it's sold for, right? What my sale price was, which was like $395 or something. And I'm going to do that on each one of those. But also inside of here, I'm going to be taking a ruler and drawing a line across the bottom of each of these and dividing them into blocks. And I'm going to write a little letter in there. Like, I'm going to put W, did I work out this day? On Saturdays, I'm going to put dates. That I take somebody on a date this week. And I'm going to be able to see when I get off of track of anything that I'm doing. Because when you have a goal, when you set one up, like, I'm going to start easy because this is a real estate company, right? We're going to start with that. If I have $12 million in real estate that I need to do, I'm going to set up, like, how many calls did I make each week? How many did I make 10 calls to clients? Did I do whatever it is? Because when you work a goal like $12 million in sales backwards, well, that means I need to sell $1 million. Well, the average house price in San Antonio is $400,000 right now. That means on average, I'm going to have to sell 3 houses a month, right? Yeah, that's $1.2 million a month, somewhere around there. So I'm going to put in there, did I make my 10 calls? Because I need to make at least 50 calls to get one client. So that means every 50 calls, I should end up with one client, and I'm going to work my way backwards on that. And I'm going to track my activity, not necessarily did I get the numbers, because I can only control my activity. I can only control what I do. And then plus it's going to allow me to see where I'm missing out, where I'm failing. Like, if I made 50 phone calls and I did absolutely zero business on that, either I'm calling bad leads or I'm not saying the right things. And that'll allow me to track what I need to do. So first and foremost, I'm going to put on here, this will be my activity tracker. When I used to manage people at my last job, I always told everybody, I don't know how, but I've got some fiercely loyal people that I used to manage. And I used to tell everybody the same thing. I said, I'm going to manage you in 3 ways, and I'm going to do it backwards. I said, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure your output. Like, what are you producing? If I notice you're not producing what you should be producing, then I'm going to start watching your activity. Like, what's going in your pipeline, what's happening with your pipeline, what's going on with that. And then the last thing is I'm going to be watching your daily. Like, I want to know what you're doing daily to succeed. And I never wanted to get there with anybody. I want to watch your production, your pipeline, and your activity will be the last thing I want to watch. I don't want to call you and find out if you're making 10 calls a day or 20 calls a day or whatever you're supposed to be doing. I'd rather just watch your productivity. but you need to be tracking that. So that way I know your pipeline's full. That way I know everything's going. And we'll talk more about sales and pipelines in a different one like that. The other thing that I get, because I'm a very visual person, and you can get these on Amazon. Where is it? And these are just good old fashioned. You saw these when you're in elementary school, those fundraising goal charts. See, you write your goal at the top. It's got a big thing at the thing. It's a big old thermometer. And guys, I do literally have these in my office. And one of them will say $12 million. The other one that it will say, because I've got two of them here, the other one is going to say 12,000 minutes, because I'm trying to work out 1,000 minutes a month. And this will let me know exactly where I'm at. And I'm not going to lie, guys, every year when I do these, I get very depressed around April and May because I'm always way behind and I got to step my game up. But what's funny about doing these is if you spend the $6, you buy these off Amazon, you put them in your office, it is something that will honestly look at you all day long, every day. And it gets a little bit depressing if you're not doing something towards it. And unfortunately, that's where most people start. That's why gyms are always empty in February, because everybody doesn't have something to constantly remind them. And does it, in all fairness, does it bring a little bit of shame? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes it makes me feel bad, but most of the time it just gets me motivated to go do the things that I need to do. So I guess in summation, what I would tell everybody to do is spend some time writing down your goals and make sure they're smart. Make sure they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Once you have those all written down, figure out the plan to get there. So for example, again, my 12,000 minutes of exercise. My exercise routine is the same every day. I meditate for 10 minutes, I do 5 minutes of abs, and I do about 15 minutes of yoga. Then I'll either walk, run, Peloton, something like that, and then I do strength training after that. It works out to about 45 minutes every day. It's very, very specific. Oh, sorry, Hillary can't get back in. Oh well, hold on one sec. And I work it backwards, right? So the 12,000 minutes is actually pretty easy for me because it's very simple. You just put the check boxes. If you know your workout routine is 45 minutes, how many 45 minutes do you have to do in a week? It's like 22, or in a month, it's 22 to get to 1,000. Pretty simple. As long as I check off 22 boxes saying I worked out, I'm done. Okay. The sales is a little bit trickier. I'm trying to get $1 million in sales. I'm clear $1 million a month. I'm not going to hit it this month, period. Right? There's just no way for me to do it. I can't get enough houses under contract in this short of time. Sorry, poor Hillary can't get back in. She got kicked out.
Oh yeah. Are we the only two? I just noticed.
Yeah, we're down to us. Susie, I don't know that. Hold on, we're trying again for her.
Yeah, I just noticed that. She was there.
Maybe I'll edit this part out if I remember. I'm terrible about going through and watching the whole thing again. I usually clip the beginning, clip the end, and then I come back.
That's funny. Yeah, yep. It looks like it's what it's showing. It's showing us too.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch the room because I wanted to hear this because I would love Hillary's input on it. The church goal is going to be pretty easy because, like I said, getting Charlotte through First Communion, I mean, the church has got rules, so just follow those, right?
Yeah,
you do what you got to do on that when you get it done. All right, well, I'm giving up on her. Okay, so what I'm going to do on my $12 million is I know I'm not going to get $1 million this month. I'm going to have about 400,000, which puts 1.6 for the following month. So I know what I got to do for the following month. If I'm averaging $400,000 a house, 1.6 is 4 houses. If I know I need to make at least 50 phone calls, then we got to make at least 50 phone calls per week or whatever it works out to be. You got to track your activity, guys. If you are making I don't know what most people expect when it comes to selling real estate, how they expect to get deals. And we're going to talk about this more probably next week while I'm thinking about it. Think about how to get this how to get 1.6, how to get 4 of them, how to make the calls, what I do to generate business. I do buy some leads. I do a lot of networking. I do cold calling. I do all kinds of stuff, but it's something that I actively have to do to get to those goals. And I think, you know what, I like this idea. I think I'm going to take the entire year and show the training of how I'm following these goals throughout the year. I think that'll be a fun little tap once a month for everybody, just to see how it is that I fight to get what I want.
Yeah.
Because nothing's handed to me. Everybody, you know, oh, you own White Line. I don't get leads. I don't, I don't steal from y'all and like, hey, I saw Israel got an email. I'm taking it. No, that doesn't. It's not what happens. Like, everything I do is my own, and it's organic, and nobody helps. The only nice thing about being the broker owner of it is I just don't pay the transaction fee, so I save myself $200 a deal. That's about the only advantage I get going out. So, but yeah, that's how I mean, Israel, do you have any questions, comments, concerns on how I go about my goals, how I track them?
No.
Anything to add, comment?
No, I was able to write down what you said, and yeah, I mean, definitely writing them down and getting on that wagon is definitely a plus. The funny part is that I used to do that, and for whatever reason, down the road, time comes in, you've got something in mind, you just kind of, but and you leave out a lot of these additional areas as far as setting them goals as well. I think I focus more on what do I have going on this month, and then am I going to be needing to work harder the following month, or it's going to be easier for me since I'm already where I'm supposed to be. But setting a goal itself, particularly in these areas, are definitely a plus too. So
Got it. Well, wonderful, man. Well, finish writing your goals down. When are you going to have your goals completed by?
By the end of today.
There you go. Sit down and knock it out. I would sit down and knock it out if I didn't have a couple of meetings after this.
Yeah. No,
but it's quiet.
I'll be working on that too today. So.
And the last thing I would say to everybody, Israel, are you married? I don't even know.
Yes.
Okay. So sit down, find the quiet time to sit down and do what you want to do. Get it all worked out, get it all very clear in your head, what it is that you want to do, get it written down. And before you transfer it to all of this stuff, go have a conversation with your wife. Like, sit down with your loved one, because it requires sacrifice. Unfortunately, in my opinion, there is no such thing as a balanced life. None. It's a teeter-totter that's constantly moving, and you just can't have a balanced life at any given time. It's just not the way we're wired. I've never known anybody to have a perfectly balanced life. Some people are too much family time, and then their career sucks, and they don't have any money, and then they lose their house. The other side is, we all know the workaholics that make $1 bajillion a year but don't even remember their kids' names. It definitely fluctuates. I always feel like, you ever see the bullfighter guys that they get the 4-way teeter-totter, and then they let a bull loose, and like one end goes up and the other end goes down.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking, like, I feel like that's how my life is. But if I'm tracking it and I know where I'm at, and if, let's say, at the end of March, I've got $6 million in sales under my belt, more than likely I've left something else off, right? I've been busy. I've gotten my ass kicked. So maybe if the end of March I got $6 million, in April I'm going to spend more time on family and intellectual things and spiritual things and social things. Like, hey, slow down a hot minute. You're ahead of schedule. Yeah, we could go for a record-breaking year, but when you're married and kids, things change. If I was 19, 20 years old and just going for broke, hell yeah, I'd go for broke. But things change. And so you just kind of have to balance it and realize that it's never going to be perfect. I know my wife gets mad at me. She's like, you haven't spent any time with the kids recently. And I'm like, you're right. And to the Hillary's point earlier, that introspection, that being able to look at yourself with a critical lens is so important, because nobody wants to do that. And very few people will ever accept criticism. And it's sad to me, because usually if it's somebody coming to you with love in their heart, they're trying to help you with your blind spots. Like I was talking earlier with my mother, it's like she's got a blind spot, and it's love in my heart. I'm telling her it is what it is, but you gotta share it. You gotta be forgiving. They gotta be forgiving, and you know, we work forward to getting the whole deal done. I mean, it's a family thing. And make sure you ask your significant other about her goals, you know what I mean, or their goals or whatever, because
Right.
it's gonna, you need to help on that too, because you're gonna have to watch the kids someday when she's doing something or whatever it is. Just get everybody on the same page, and plus it makes it a lot more fun because then you
Yeah.
have reasons. And when you go on date night, we get to celebrate. You know, it's like, hey, I
Mhm.
made $1 million this month. Let's go, you know, to Myron's versus Chick-fil-A or whatever it might be. You know, I got a little reason to celebrate. Let's go have some fun. So that's where I got with that.
I hear you.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna let y'all go.
All right.